Hi everyone, it's Achusi Kanku from Esports African News, and as usual, we bring you conversations that are very important to the African esports, game dev, animation, summit, and Comic Con industry. We always bring you interesting topics that are relevant, that helps develop the community. Today, we are being supported by two very important organizations. That is the Esports Legal News, and as it says on the tin, legal news, and then another very important one, which is the game ban appeal. So many of you have had these instances where you've been banned from all sorts of games for one reason or the other. You have nowhere else to turn to for, to discuss your issues and seek for help. This is where you need to go. This organization, though based in Zurich, has got a geo financing idea where you only pay as per your location, which what it means is that if the pricing is in dollars or pounds or whatever currency in Africa, it is looked as African and local currencies kind of thing. So you reach out to them and they will help you, or reach out to us and we will give you the links to the organizations. In any case, I've got Leonard here who's going to talk about the organization as well. So without much ado, I think I'm going to ask Leonard to introduce himself, and then we'll carry the conversation on from here.
Hi, Daryl. Thank you for having me. My name is Leonard. I'm a lawyer with 10 years of experience in international arbitration, data protection law, esports law, and so on and so forth. I run Esports Legal News. I also am the registrar of the International Games and Esports Tribunal, which is an arbitration organization for big publishers where you can dispute things amongst prize money and so on and so forth. And I also do a lot of sponsorship work and IP work in the esports business. So happy to talk to you.
No, absolutely brilliant. I think we will start first with now my mind is racing because there's so many important topics we want to talk about, and the original idea behind this conversation is to talk about IP. So let's go for that, and then we'll spend some time at the end of it to talk about some of these disputes. So for IP, what we're looking at is the three organizations we're going to look at. We're looking at media, tournament operators, and game developers. What are these three organizations? We seem to be falling into the trap of IP disputes or IP negligence or whatever it is, especially medias. We take a photo and someone says, I didn't agree to my photo being taken or used in a certain way. What are some of the things we need to look out for in the first place, and how we can prevent them in future?
Sure, let's take it one by one. Let's start with media. If you're looking at media, if you're a streamer, for example, and you're streaming games, then it depends which games you stream, because for some games, for example, as far as I know, Nintendo is requesting you to have a permit to stream about it. And if you're streaming, I don't know, emulators, then you might have another problem, because emulators and the emulating of games is seen as a gray zone legally. So that means that you could facing the trap that you're streaming that something is illegal, and Nintendo pursued that kind of streaming already, for example, of ROM modifications of Pokemon, and has taken the people down, has taken them to court, and you might lose your channel if you're a big one. Then taking it from the game developer side, for example, IP is everywhere. If you want to use logos, you might be violating someone's rights. So you will have to see whether the license is permitting you to use it in a commercial way or not. If not, then whether you need a permit, and if not only a permit, how much you have to pay. Because then, depending on how much budget you have, you will have to calculate the IP usage as well. Because one way or another, that's gonna be affecting your game. And then there are also logos, for example, or local laws, like in Germany, where certain symbols are just forbidden. So you have to look whether, I don't know, I just make an example. If you're from India and you're using swastikas in your game, then you might be facing problems in Germany, because those are forbidden by the criminal court due to history. So you will have to be really careful and check each time what do you violate. So in any event, if you're planning to start a game, and now with vibe coding everything is really approachable and easy to make, I would recommend always in that case as a game developer to consult at least one attorney, and they will always tell you what to do. And then third, but not last but not least, tournament organizations. There we're planning currently at Esports Liga News to have a comprehensive list of what you have to look at in each and every game that allows community tournaments, because every publisher has a different approach to how their IP might be used. Some say if you have a prize money below a certain threshold, then you're allowed to run it the way you want, as long as you do not make something which would be not allowed by law. So if you want to make a Mario Kart tournament in your school for your kids, that would be completely possible as long as you serve cookies, muffins, and so on, and do not make any money out of it. But as soon as it becomes commercial, then you have to have certain permissions, and those change from game to game. So you always have to look that you don't not violate the IP of the publisher. Not everyone is gonna be pursued and taken to court, but there are cases where it becomes big, and then you might be in trouble.
That's really interesting. I think one of the stories that's really got me was on LinkedIn. Someone posted that he took an image, which was a public image, and used it for his post, and this media company chased him down to try and get some money off him, even though he had deleted it and all. And that's where it comes to media. That's the question is, at what point do we also have to engage with tournament operators? Do we have to engage with game developers as we attend an event, public event, to capture and then tell the story about them? I know if you're doing media work, you've got this, you're able to use the information insofar as it is within the media scope, but not commercially making money from it, if you know what I mean. So it's finding that in esports with game developers, it's in Africa, is what do they need to protect, so people in the West more predominantly just don't pick up their game ideas, pick up their image like ideas, and then use it for similar games, then that become more sellable, in the West.
Yeah, sure. Well, if you want to protect, you always have to somehow file for a patent, but some game mechanics are not patentable. I mean, Nintendo is trying to do this whole thing with Pokemon, the catching and so on and the force. But what you really need to do is, of course, you have always the risk that somebody makes something more marketable than you are doing it. Is to be early on, have your domain secured already, outline what you're doing, so you have it on board that you predated the whole idea, that the idea is yours, and somehow also secure it for you. And if you reach out, and this also happens to other people, and pitching your idea, you have to be careful with your IP and with your ideas, because somebody might take your idea. So what you have to have is a non-disclosure agreement that you conclude beforehand, where you point out the certain things that are a violation to your idea, and if they're violated, that you have a certain right to contractual penalties, so you can pursue really the person who has copied. I mean, it's always going to be difficult for you to prove because it's always based on evidence. So you have to create a trail, a paper trail of what you're doing, of how you're doing. So if worst comes to worst, you can prove, look, I had the idea in 2018, let's say. I have been developing it this and this way. We have been having this game idea with these levels, with these assets, with this blah, blah, blah. And if somebody has taken off the idea, you say like, okay, we had it before, and this is a clear violation. And then you take it, because it's going to be tort law, the violation, you can actually select the forum where you're going to go.
Okay. So talk about that, it takes me straight to disputes. What I was trying to find on my computer now is to do with what I'm going to talk about, but I might be able to find it later. We'll talk about it. It's basically we've had series of disputes on the African continent, ranging from federations to tournament organizers to esports athletes to esports teams to just the general public. A group of us started a foundation that is to address some of this situation, which is a non-binding but a consortium where at least the cases can be heard. How would Africa or the African space bring this into some sort of standardization where people can genuinely, with very minute differences, it might be between teams and athletes or whatever, just be able to resolve it quickly. Like arbitration takes a few days to resolve so people can move on. Sometimes it needs quick reaction. One particular one was in Kenya where an athlete had to travel in some days, and we only got the news about a week to the travel, where an athlete was apparently replaced with another athlete, all that kind of thing. But it couldn't be resolved. As far as I understood it, it couldn't be resolved. The other athlete did travel without the winning athlete, apparently. So all that kind of differences. How do we build that kind of foundation?
Well, if you have, arbitration is voluntary, right? If you implement into the statutes of the federations, you have already a hook to get everybody inside. And for example, the International Games and Esports Tribunal has an emergency arbitration chapter. This means that if you need a decision which is really, really necessary right now, you can get it within 24 hours or 48 hours maximum. You can plead. I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Right. No, sorry, go on.
And this is giving you the opportunity to receive an award which is enforceable in 170 countries, because 170 countries have signed the New York Convention. Almost the whole African continent did it. So if you need to prevent that athlete on going to a tournament and you have already the award in your favor, you can go to the courts there and obtain an interim injunction also within 24 hours without the athlete attending, and then prevent him or her to going there. So the foundations are there. What we are needing now is that every stakeholder on the planet, on the globe, connects itself to the system, because this is the way the court of arbitration in sports has become so important, because everyone has accepted this jurisdiction, and every kind of dispute, be it federation-wise, between athletes and clubs, between athletes and the Olympic Committee, between Olympic committees, you name it, is going to the CAS in Lausanne, and there you get a decision which is final and binding. And then you have a case law body that makes everything in the future predictable. And with esports being professionalized now, more and more since COVID, it is something that we need, and this is why the IGET is there. And so far, Montoon Games has signed up for it. So if you participate in Montoon Games tournaments, you will be going to the IGET. But a real thing would be for the federations to get in touch with IGET and get the clause and the statutes.
To be fair, when this happened, I did try to get hold of IGET. I set up a few meetings, but I didn't get hold of anyone coming through. So again, that will mean that I need to speak to you after this to try and link up with IGET. So yeah, one of the things I feel is lacking in Africa is knowledge of these opportunities or access to these opportunities. So again, I'm making notes that I need to promote a lot of these organizations, a lot of these. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to align with these organizations and try and get particular resolutions on this quickly, which is great.
And these organizations, they also have not much means, but they do have the means. So if you push it, they will be able to come and show and introduce and teach and educate the people about it. So to have more awareness.
Yeah, which is quite important. That awareness would then it serves as a deterrent in the first place for other events happening, and then it also serves as a security where people are sure that they can operate commercially and freely in an area where they can, when there's a dispute or there's a difference, they can get their recompense on the restitution on it, which is important.
Yeah, and you can mediate. I mean, you don't need to go to arbitration. A lot of things in the dynamics between the player, the athlete, and the team are a matter of respect and communication. And this doesn't need to go to arbitration. If you have a very experienced mediator, you can find a solution very easily. I mean, I once had a case where I mediated between the player and the team, and the player wanted to leave and wanted damages from the team and prize money and so on and so forth. But the real core issue was that nobody from the team ever said thank you to the guy, because he was the top performer on the team, but nobody ever cared to tell him thank you for all your hard work and everything you're doing for the team. And he was just, annoyed. And once this was cleared out and they started to praise him and to tell him how good he was, everything was resolved. You don't need to have a dispute. You just have to talk. It's completely normal. It's a normal social behavior between different people.
That I can see, because again, there was another dispute that got involved in where it took 3 years to get payments out to somebody, and when the conversation was made, there was no avenue to make the payments. Nobody chased me. Nobody chased. There's so many other reasons for that, and it's about communicating and trying to get things resolved.
Sure. I mean, it's always, every time, it's even law, even all the disputes, it's always about either money or communication, or both.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we'll jump on to game ban appeal. I've had quite a few interesting either reads online or even posts from some African athletes who have been banned for either something they did wrong, technically wrong, and now games are installing anti-cheat mechanisms on all the games. And there was one recent one where people were using different names on different servers to get access, and that kind of thing. So how does game ban appeal help in the African region? What would you look to do for the African region?
Look, we do not help only the African region, we help everyone worldwide. Our first customers were from Brazil, Philippines, and India. And it was mainly Roblox and Fortnite that we have dealt with.
Roblox, yes. I know somebody very close to me who's got a Roblox ban. He's been wanting this account like forever.
Yeah, Roblox is currently very aggressive on banning people, and their support is really, really automatized. So they have bans that are decided by an AI. They have if you appeal, you have an AI replying to it, and once you go and escalate it, it's really, really hard to get to the service of a human being who's going to reply to you that you did not violate the terms because whatever. So looking at Africa has a lot of mobile games. That's
yes, absolutely.
Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, and so on. What we have done at Game Ban Appeal, it was an idea that has been ripening for 3 years. We have 155 games at the moment that we support, but if you have a game that is not on the list, you can propose to us and we will integrate, because the integration involves the complete analysis of the terms and conditions and the terms of service of the publisher. So we have all clauses, more than 2,500 in our database. And once you enter all your data, why you have been banned, you can add screenshots, you can add your communication that you did before. We have an system that compiles everything for our senior attorneys that are sitting in the background. It construes the fact pattern, it construes with the help of AI also what has happened in a chronology. So we in the background draft you a letter of appeal that you yourself can send to the publisher, but that letter contains, I mean, I have to get off the track a little bit. If you're a player, you're outraged of what has happened, and you not always focus, and you just want to get your rant out and say, why have I been banned? It's unfair. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't cheat. I use some kind of software to record and to stream it. It's not something that is reliable, blah, blah, blah. What we do, we take this rant speak and put it into lawyer speak. And it becomes factual, chronological, and so it either triggers the AI to give your appeal a right and to unban you, or it leads you to a human reviewer because it's too difficult for the AI to decide on what you have submitted with exhibits. So somebody has to review. And the 3 cases that we had were really, really successful. And we deliver that letter within 48 hours if there is not a big ban wave. And this is like really legal tech with big law technology in the background that is running to help like everyone to get the justice that they deserve. And because it's a big field and everybody's on Reddit, how can I be unbanned? How can you help me? It's been that or been this. And nobody's helping because there are other companies, one to be precise, which are offering template services. You subscribe and you get a template that you can use, but your template is not applicable to your very specific case. And because we in the background have litigated huge cases, multi-billion cases against big companies, against states, we know how to phrase that even for small amounts, but for you it's not a small amount. It's a account that
it's your lifeline.
Yes, you have spent 10 years building your Fortnite account. You have spent 10 years with your Roblox account. It means a lot to you. It's part of your personality. And then somebody comes and says like, shut up. It. Yeah, create your new one. You have skins for, I don't know, $100, $1,000. And that's why. And we also will be offering in the future GDPR requests, because you have the right to know under the GDPR if it was an automated decision, how it was taken, and you can appeal that as well. So this will have another venue for you to go and have your appeal lifted.
That's really interesting. I'm sure this will be of interest to many people after they've listened to this. That'll be really interesting. We'll definitely put Game Ban Appeal website details up on the website.
GameBanAppeal.com.
GameBanAppeal.com. We'll definitely put a link up so people can click on directly to get it, which is great.
I mean, and what we can do is we can offer you for Esports Africa News listeners a discount of 20%. I will give you a promo code so you will have the opportunity to get it.
Appreciate that. We'll put that up again, and every time you guys use this, Leonard and his team will definitely look after you very well. Leonard, I mean, in as much as we are talking about where to get help for, what are some of the things that you have seen that we have neglected in our activities? So we'll go for an esports team. What are the things that they've sort of neglected in setting the teams up? Maybe the agreements, the obligations, what the disputes are, the method. What are some of the things you've come across?
The legal side is always neglected, to be honest. It's all nobody ever thinks about it. As a lawyer, you get the legal first, and then you do all the rest. That's how we launched Game Ban Appeal. It was 3 months late because we had to sort out the legal stuff before, and it takes a long time to get the permissions, the decisions from the decisions makers, to get to the notary, to get the company registered, and so on and so forth. Esports players, they're pragmatic. They're like, I'm going down to the court. I'm going to found an esports team. We're going to cooperate. And once they're successful, you have all the stuff coming up. How is the prize money distributed? Who is responsible for human resources? What happens if somebody starts bullying another player because he or she doesn't play well? What happens if a player wants to leave? who pays the rent for the training center? Who pays for the hardware? What happens if we play and we get hardware prices? Who get the hardware price? So everything, nothing is ever contractually held down. It doesn't depend on the jurisdiction, whether it's Africa. I mean, if you professionalize, of course that gets inside, but the grassroots always have a blind spot, and in Africa also, what I have seen so far, and that also applies to Southeast Asia, that people just want to do it, and players are really, really enthusiastic about the game, but they never think about what's behind. And I think if you have that kind of strategic thinking, or anybody gives some kind of a hand, it doesn't have to cost money, and that's on the federations in my opinion. They have to have somebody to say, okay, you want to have a club, those are the rules you have to follow, sign them, or have them in your drawers, so if something comes up, you can quickly look up how to do it, how to do a contract with the player, how to do prize money distributions, and so on and so forth. Because once you have that, it's really easy, because then you have something in writing that you can rely upon, and nobody can argue about, because you all agreed upon that.
Yeah, same. Now that's interesting, absolutely interesting. So we will do that. Can you elaborate quickly on partnership and I think the two words I wanted to: partnership and sponsorship? I think that's the right word, because sometimes you're trying to engage with somebody, two parties, they're doing two events, a tournament operator and say a streamer want to engage, and one is saying, I'm going to do the tournament, but I can help elevate your tournament by either engaging with you, but there's no exchange of funds, there's no exchange of anything, but I'll independently do my bit, you independently do your bit, but it's essentially using your information to do it. How does that work? Because I think we confuse a lot. Once you try to engage with somebody to work with a person, they're saying, are you coming in as a sponsor? Are you coming in as a and they're expecting either financial exchanges or something.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing probably in that combination, if you have a tournament organizer, a sponsor behind the tournament, and then a streamer in front of it, then you're, as a tournament organizer, like between the chairs, you have to coordinate both. So the sponsor is making you possible to have the tournament, but then you have the promotion by the streamer. So what you have to take into account is how to what to give to the streamer. I mean, you can have a flat fee and saying, okay, the advertisements that you're doing for the tournament are going to be paid with a sum of X US dollar. What you can do is, if you agree with the streamer that, I don't know, if your tournament has a sign-up fee, that you have an affiliate agreement, you could do an affiliation. So the streamer would get a percentage of the money that you're charging. Or if you wait, I lost my thoughts. Just coming back. Yeah, you can do an affiliateship, and so the streamer can get a percentage, or you can say, okay, the streamer and the tournament organizer, they do a profit sharing agreement, where depending on how much profit is generated upon the referrals from the streamer, of people who are coming to see the tournament, and ticket prices and ticket entries, and then the streamer gets a percentage of that. But you need to be very specific. You have to get it in the contract, so the contract is enforceable and not just blah blah. Again, something that the federations at an early level can provide, according to the jurisdiction, because once you get international, it becomes even more complex. So you have to have some kind of a guidance on how to go and where to go. And to be really honest with you, on the African continent, the esports lawyers I know, maybe a handful. So there is, and entertainment law is also just evolving. It's not there. It's not like commercialized where people are coming from
criminal
sports and so on and so forth. There are big law firms, but they're not doing it, and there is no one who specializes. So what the federations have to do is they have to somehow get together, find law firms, reach out to them, and find somebody who would do it pro bono in the first place to get this, because once this gets off the ground, it will generate, of course, also fees for the law firms, because this is a business development, and it's for both parties. It's a win-win situation, because you will get, on the one hand, you will get very good contracts for the players, for the tournament organizers, for the streamers. On the other hand, the law firm will get a good reputation because they did it for free for the federations. And once you get it further, it becomes more complex, then you will get paid work.
That's really exciting. That's really important. We really appreciate you making time to talk to us about all these. I mean, obviously, it's the first one. We talk about IP, and we talk about gamebanappeal.com. We talk about the esports legal news. And this is not just the last bit. We will definitely come back to you with specific questions about this industry. So I want to thank you for your time this afternoon, for making time to speak to us on the subject of esports law.
Thank you so much for having me. We can certainly do another series and go, not only high level approach above everything, but really deep dive into IP, for example, deep dive into dispute resolution, how it works. We could also do everything like one by one by one.
Absolutely. I think that would be a good idea. At least every month we've got a legal point of view on our platform.
Certainly. Happy to help.
I appreciate that.